What's poppin'? Welcome back to Midwest World. It's the Tubecast. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the content. Greatly appreciate it from everybody. I'm on break. I gotta wait for my load to be ready. So I'm like, I got time to chop it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I would have went live, but the internet over here is kind of funny style, so I don't even feel like dealing with the choppiness. So I'm like, well, let's talk about this physical media game card situation here. You know what I'm saying? Because see, there's a lot of complaints about it, and this is the thing. The internet is the world of complaints. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. You don't find many happy people on the internet or people on the internet that have much good to say. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I mean? So, me personally, I try to stay away from that. You know what I mean? But it's nothing. You have some good stuff on the internet, but a lot of it is negativity. You know what I'm saying? As far as like dealing with trolls and all that, people are never happy with nothing, right? It is what it is. Now, I'm not some guy who capes for any company. I don't, I operate off convenience when it comes to consoles and things like that. You know, my favorite console is the Switch at this point because of convenience. You know, I mean, the Switch 2 is my favorite console right now due to convenience. I can take it with me everywhere. I'm getting AAA style gameplay. Yeah, it don't look as good, but I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? Like, to be able to play full-fledged games on the go, I'm cool with that. That's why I like the Switch so much. You know what I mean? So, you know, I roll with that because of the convenience aspect. Same thing with Xbox. When I was growing up, I liked Xbox because I could save on a hard drive. I can put my music on the hard drive and save without a memory card if I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you know, I just like Xbox because of that. You know what I mean? Wasn't so much the graphics, you know what I mean? Because you splitting hairs when it comes to that. But the game key card situation is a problem. People have an issue with it. My thing is this: the whole physical media been done with. I've been done. You know what I'm saying? And there's pros and cons to physical media and digital media. You know, for instance, if you're a collector, hardcore like that, you're gonna like physical media, especially retro stuff. You know what I mean? As a guy who plays retro games on a flash card, I can tell you it's like you don't get the same feel like that versus on having the original cartridge or whatever the case is. You know, I never been big in emulation. I still play on, I guess you want to say, original hardware. Even though like my 16-bit stuff isn't original hardware, my N64 is. That's straight up playing off an N64, but I got modern upgrades. You know what I mean? So it's still, even with the modern upgrades, it don't feel, you're not gonna get that classic feel again. Like back when you was playing it on the old console, that stuff is gone. So there's a convenience to the digital, but there's an inconvenience, like game key cards. You don't have the game on the key card. It's just a verification check, right? So you still have to download the whole game off the internet. But Xbox One been like that. After 360, that whole thing was going. Xbox One been like that. You put the disc in, you got to download 70% of the game offline. What's the difference? Really, what's the difference? Because you put the disc in, you still can't play the game until you download all of it offline, right? The Switch was like that heavily, you know what I mean? Except first-party games. They had most of their games was on the cartridge, the first-party games. But after third-party, you have what, 5 gigabytes or 7 gigs on the cartridge, and after that, you download the rest. Game key card, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? PS4 operated like Xbox One for the most part. You still had to download a bunch of, like, the CDs, pretty much the Blu-rays number the verification check. That's it. You know what I mean? Games is still pretty much digital. You know what I'm saying? Most of my library is digital. I'm not gonna sit there and come up here and lie to y'all and say it isn't. You know what I mean? At this point, I prefer digital. You know what I mean? I like digital. It's just what it is. You know, I'm not that hung up on having a bunch of physical media. I'm not. You know, it was hard for me to deal with that when it came to CDs. You know, because I still have majority of my albums that I bought CDs, but the convenience of having every single album on this here, the convenience of having every single album on this here and it play fluidly, no issues, no skips, nothing. Blu-ray head. I'm not about to sit there and act like I don't like the new age tech. I'm not. There's pros and cons. There's pros and cons. Back then, it felt like, oh yeah, this is mine. But you know what I mean? It's just, I just like the convenience of digital. If you ask me to, honestly, I prefer just the digital. I do. You know what I mean? Even though I like having the physical in my hand and things like that, but I just like I like digital. I like just be able to exit out and go to another game, boom, just like that. You know what I'm saying? Without having to go try to find the disc, put it in. You know what I'm saying? I get the nostalgia feeling behind it, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So my first digital game I ever bought was NBA 2K13 on a 360. And after that, it was over. I'm like, oh man. Now I still get physical because a lot of times, you know, on the 360 or even Xbox One, the physical is a lot more cheaper than the digital. You know what I mean? And vice versa. Sometimes you have a physical copy. You go into the store, you know, Walmart, Target, mom and pop shop, whatever. You'll see a physical game for like $45. But then Microsoft will have it on sale for $4.99 in the store or in the Microsoft store. Be like, oh man, come on, let me run that. PC been ran away from the digital. You don't get physical games on PC. You don't get so I mean, the game key card situation, I get people's frustration in it. I do, but it's like it's pretty much the same thing that the Switch was doing. They're just labeling it now. You know what I'm saying? They just opting like, look, we're gonna go all the way with it. Be like, look, this is just a verification check, and that's that. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get many game key cards, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna go digital with it for the most part. I'm just gonna go digital with it. Now, if I run across a game key card that's $40 cheaper than the digital, I'm just gonna get the game key card. I mean, it's gonna play the same way. I just gotta swap out the key card. It is what it is, man. That's just the way things is nowadays. That's just the way it is, man. And for me, being from the old school, I can complain about it. Nothing's gonna change. You know what I'm saying? Nothing's gonna change. You know, they're gonna do things how they do things, and I get it. Due to games being the gigabytes in games is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you have games that's over 100 gigs, man. You really can't even fit that on a disc. You know, you can't fit that on a disc. You know what I mean? So even on a cart, like, okay, so the Switch 2, I think, what is it, 64 gigabyte cartridges? CD Projekt Red, salute to them. They put Cyberpunk on there. So I got the physical version of that. On the Switch, they put The Witcher 3 on there. That's fire, you know what I'm saying? But I got the digital version of that, you know. But these games, man, a lot of gigabytes, a lot, due to the audio files. Now, as far as compression, you know what I mean? I'm not that knowledgeable as far as compressing files. I do know sometimes when you do compress certain things, it messes with the sound and all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It had the game running funny, all of that. You know what I mean? But for the most part, all the things they put into these games, it's almost impossible to stuff that on a disc or a cartridge because there's so much going on. You know, the people want a lot of variety in the game, which means the games take a lot of space, take a lot of memory. They want nice graphics. They want smooth gameplay. They want this, they want that. It's a lot of gigabytes, man. They want the games to be better, which means it's gonna be a. Do you think GTA 6 will even fit on a? No, it's not. That game is no. That's not gonna fit on no Blu-ray. GTA 6 not fit on no Blu-ray. Now, unless they up the capacity Blu-rays can hold and things like that, but even so being, I believe it costs more to even do that. You know what I'm saying? And put games on the cartridge and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I know the 64 gigabyte cartridges cost more than just the key card. Common sense. You know what I mean? You gotta, if you look at how much micro SDs cost and things like that, having the space on there, it all makes sense, right? So I get it on the business side of things. I see both sides here. I get it from the old school aspect of when I get this key card or to get this game in the case, you know what I mean? I want to just put it in and play it. It don't work that way. Gaming don't even work that way no more. That's done when you got to update stuff, all that. Even if you get a game that's on the cartridge, sometimes you got to update, you know what I mean? You're going to be getting hit with that update, you know what I mean? So you're going to have to make sure everything is updated before you leave the house or you go on vacation, straight up, you know what I mean? You can't say, oh, I'm going to leave. Nope. If you didn't update it, then it's going to prompt you to update the game. You can be mad at that point, you know what I'm saying? So You still gotta cross your T's and dot your I's before you even leave with it and make sure everything is updated. You know what I mean? It's just how it is nowadays. So I don't have a big issue with the key cards. My whole thing is, if you don't like it, don't buy it. Don't buy the key cards. Just go digital. You know what I'm saying? That's my whole thing. But it's always a choice of what you want to do here. You know what I mean? You don't have to buy, and they don't have to bend to you. You know what I'm saying? That's just, it's what it is. If you don't like that practice, then hey, then don't buy it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's their view of it. So I mean, but I don't mind the key cards. I don't care. I'm just not going to. Like, for instance, let me see. This right here. Let me see. I'm looking at this here. Yeah. So, for instance, I only got 2 key cards. My Street Fighters in the. Are you ready? Okay. Standing right by the window. My Street Fighters in the case. You know what I mean? Or in the Switch, but most of my stuff is micro SDs with a bunch of games on there. So I only got, a little bit, you know what I mean? So, and that's probably gonna be the last bit of unless I get something on sale. I'm not gonna buy much physical media. You know what I mean? It is what it is. That's just the way things has went. So I'm not tripping, man. But it is what it is, man. Let me go in here and get this load, man. I'm gone. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the content. Greatly appreciate it from everybody. Peace.